Hello, everybody, and welcome to the aga-cad's webinar, BIM Tree Manager, More Control Over Your Revit Project. My name is Alex Sheja. I'm working in aga-cad as a BIM application engineer, and as a company, we create applications for Autodesk Revit based on the needs of the world's leading BIM practitioners. And our main goal is to eliminate tasks that do not create value for our customers. Through the years, we have developed the widest range of true BIM software in the world of Revit professionals, covering such software as metal framing, wood framing, precast concrete design, together with reinforcement, MAP tools, and our most universal tool, Smart Browser, which helps to create centralized or decentralized libraries for companies or just Revit users who work by themselves. And today's our topic, BIM Tree Manager, is actually part of the Smart Browser. You probably have already seen our Smart Browser presentations. If not, you can look at those in our YouTube page. But basically, Smart Browser consists out of 3 modules, each of them having different functionality. And the biggest functionality is given to the BIM manager. He can create libraries, modify families and badge in those libraries, apply those changes to the project, and do other modifications. And also, as a part of the BIM Manager module, there is a BIM Tree Manager. So if the Smart Browser is dedicated to work with the families outside of the project and prepare your work for the future, BIM Tree Manager already deals with the current project and elements currently present in the project. And in this webinar, we will cover some of its functionality, that being element filtration and selection, both for current and linked elements. It's possible to view those and check all their parameters with this tool, a unique marking of selected elements, usable information extraction from Revit, and placing that information into the family parameters so it can be later used for scheduling or for general knowledge. And then element replacement with data mapping. So in case you're changing one family with another, no data is lost, and you can tell our tool where to put certain parameters data from one family to another. And of course, at the end, we will end up with a project where all those things will be performed. So we'll have some families a little bit modified, some extra data added, and you will see how easy it is with this tool. And let's jump to the live demonstration. It'll be shown on my regular building. Only in this case, it has a little bit more information inside it. So this is an architectural model with doors, windows, furniture, and other elements. And also it has MAP project linked to it. Here on the bottom, if I click on the links, there is an MAP model. And as usually how it starts with our tools, it starts from the Tools for BIM doc. You can download it from our webpage by clicking on Show Doc. If we would go into the Smart Browser solution, I have it already installed. If I click on it, there you can see all 3 modules, BIM Manager, Team Leader, and Team Member. And BIM Manager actually consists out of 2 tools. Smart Browser Manage, like I mentioned, works with the families, and BIM Tree Manager works with the current project. It's possible to work with it straight from our Tools for BIM doc, or add it to the toolbar, and as I did, drag it to your work window. So I will close our Tools for BIM doc and look at this tool right here. It doesn't have too many buttons, and the most important one is, of course, this BIM Tree Manager. What we can do with it, we can analyze all the project. So if I'm clicking on it, our tool will analyze project for the families which are currently present in this model. And as you can see, it can work with different categories, so model categories, annotation categories, analytical model categories. We can extract parameters from all of those. And even in the model categories, not only we work with the elements, but also such thing as levels. We can extract information from grids, views, sheets, everything that would need control. And today's journey, we will begin with analyzing some structural elements, those being walls, structural columns, and floors, and we'll perform some changes for those. So I will just find the columns and floors. I missed it. Here it is. Now the tool goes into the deeper analysis. It analyzes every single element of the categories that we have selected, and it will show the table with all those elements. So yes, we have right now here structural elements. I had some parameters added from my previous work. I will show that later, extraction of room data and room parameters into the elements. But you can see here we have different division into the level, category, family, type, and then we see some of the parameters. If we want to work with more parameters, there's Add Remove Columns button, and we can easily add any of the present parameters in the families into this table and work with that parameter. Here on the left, it's possible to work with these yellow columns, those would being category grouping. And we can see that for level 1, we can spread into what we have, columns, floors, structural columns, and walls. If we want to go deeper, we can go to the just walls, curtain walls. And if we click on one of these, all elements are filtered and we can see only this specific selection of the walls on a first floor in just basic walls. I will go back to whole project, remove all filtering. And now what we will do, we will filter some of the elements here and perform some tasks. First one will be rename type by rule or by configuration. The filtering can be done by simply right-clicking on the element, doing filter by selected data or distinct values in column, which is very useful. So we can see that we have all those 4 selections that I've made before, and let's select just columns. And that's what we have. A lot of columns on the first level and only 3 on other levels. You can see that there are some architectural columns and some structural. And the biggest difference between those are right now is that structural columns types are named according to their size, while the architectural columns have some almost random names. I'm sure it's not random, it's diameter 305, so that makes sense. And concrete 05, it has depth and width of 500 millimeters. Maybe that made sense in the beginning of the project, and now we would want to standardize all the type names, and we can easily do that. If I choose this concrete 05 type name and choose to rename type by configuration. And configuration will be super easy, width times depth that were present in that family, and add suffix of x just to keep the same format. Clicking OK, and the family types names will be remade. Same we can do for the round columns if it would be needed. Diameter, we can simply keep 305 value, no prefix or suffix needed. And we have new type names. Simple as that. What else is possible to do? A useful feature for structural engineers, extraction of element coordinates, that being for the columns, or element elevations. And let's do that for all the elements. Actually, we can keep the columns. I will just remove the filtering, a little bit more elements, and I will keep it just on the first floor to keep amount of elements down to not overload my computer. And to write down elevation, we need 3 parameter of length type, so we can write the value there. And as I appear to know, there is no such available parameter in the columns, floors, and walls in the project right now. So what's possible to do with this tool? Simply create new shared parameter. So I will choose select column just to select all those elements and click on create new shared parameter. And that would be top elevation. Top elevation, common discipline, length value and group it under, let's say, construction. Make it instance parameter because every single element will have its own value. And we have top elevation. We can do the same thing for the bottom elevation. Bottom elevation, again, length parameter. And let's save it under the construction instance parameter. And here we go. We have two new parameters for all of these elements. And now let's fill this data. How it can be filled? Calculate coordinates or elevations. In this case, we'll calculate top elevation. And this can be done according to the shared location, project, or level. So let's do according to the project. I've selected only the columns. I should have selected floors, structural columns, and wall categories as well with my selection to consume all the categories. Do calculate elevation, top according to project. Calculate elevation, top according to project. And just walls. Let's run for all the walls. Calculate elevations, top according to project. Very easy for the first level. Easy to see the differences, 2.4, 202, 3 meters. And the same would be for the bottom elevation. Okay, let's select columns, do the project bottom. Well, yeah, of course, they stand on the 0 elevation, nothing new to write. For the floors, though, bottom elevation is a little bit different. So in this way, we can fill, maybe separate just walls, do filtration, and do at once for all the walls in the project, enter the values for the top or bottom. And it's easy as that. Then, as you see here, there's mark written by somebody who started working on this project in 2019, almost 2020. And it's a pretty valid idea to mark the elements which were checked, and they should stay the same. And we can put a timestamp on the elements to know when those were checked. So how that can be done, we can select columns, their mark parameter or any other text parameter, and there is write current date button. Well, since it's mark, it shows that we have duplicate mark values. Doesn't matter too much, but we can go further and enumerate all the elements in the project like that. And it's pretty easy to change. If some changes were made, just write current date. And that would be it from the parameter modifications for these elements. But one more thing I want to show is dynamic section box. As you probably already noticed, when I'm selecting some elements here, they get selected in the project. So when I click on dynamic section box, I will be able to see dynamic section box created only around this, well, around this floor. Let's go to the structural column. And our section box is a little bit bigger, so you can see all the situation, what's going around the element. And it's easier just to make section box smaller rather than not knowingly make it bigger and not to know how big to go. And with this one, I will finish with the structural elements. You probably remember in the beginning, I mentioned that we have here MEP model linked. And actually with that model, our BIM tree manager works as well. I had something selected, so let me unselect it. Go to BIM tree manager, and there we have pipes, ducts, different fittings, appliances. And let's select to analyze the ducts. Quick analysis of what is there in the linked project. And right now we will see in the same table, none of the parameters will be editable since we're seeing the linked elements, but it will be possible to select any parameter from those linked elements, see those in the table, and according to those, do filtration as we did before for previous elements. And I forgot to remove the dynamic section box, so it's actually trying to create now once dynamic section box. Maybe I don't want it right now. I want to show that there's possibility to see parameters. Right now I turned on to see length, system name, system type, and here you can see all the parameters that I had in my MAP elements. If I add them here to the table, overall size, there's no host, well, maybe friction. And we have overall size and the friction. And later, according to that, we can filter any of these elements. So let's say we want to see this fresh air 2, and we want to see distinct values, fresh air 2, apply filter. So these ducts belong to the fresh air system, and we want to see specifically on level 5 some of these ducts. How we can do that is click on dynamic section box and select those elements. And let's select 2 of those. And I have to move this one out of the way. The elements themselves will not be selected since they're in the linked project, but the section box will be created specifically around that place where those elements are located, and later, if needed, user can select them by hand. And that's how it works with the linked project. Later, we can go and look a little bit more into the architectural side of the project. We already did columns, walls, so right now let's do windows, doors, and furniture and see how we can push information from the room into those elements. So later in the schedule, we would know how many windows each room has, how many doors, and so on. And I will go to select categories. I had something, oh, section box was selected, so I analyzed it. Don't need to see that, but I want to see all the doors, furniture, and windows. Quite a lot of those elements, so again, we will work on just on level 1. You can already see there are a lot of doors, curtain wall type doors, furniture, windows, doors again, and so on. Some of those even have length parameter, the furniture. Some marks are created, in other places mark values are empty, and we want to keep everything consistent. How to do that? Well, first of all, let's add some columns. Remove the ones that I don't need, and let's add some information about the room. This tool can access that data, which is not visible for regular Revit user, and that would be room name, room number. And alongside every single element, we will see to which room they belong to. We can even do filtering according to room number. So we can see that in the room AO2, there are just doors, AO3, some doors, furniture, and windows begin somewhere further. All this information, of course, can be exported to the Excel if you would have a question, and can be used further. But what we can do here with this information, let's create marks in the elements according to their room they belong to. So right now, this door belongs to room AO1. Now let's assign each element its own specific number, unique number, and then make them size according to the room number. That can be done by sort mark functionality right here. And what I will do is numbering. Numbers should be assigned according to the ID, because ID is the most unique parameter in the family, so numbers will be always unique for the element. And then in sorting, according to what that number should get higher or lower, let's say that we want to do that according to the room number. And that would be it. We can create specific number. So that'll be element minus, then we'll go number of the element. And we can even copy the room number it belongs to. So room number, and that'll be enough to fill in the data. The tool will analyze selected elements and fill in the new marks. And here we have, if I do again numbering according to the room, or filtration according to the room, you can see that element 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, then room name is also copied. And you might guess where the element 1, 2, 3, 4 is, and they will be on the 6th floor, some windows in the door, because here room was not assigned, so it's a null value, and that one goes in the very front. So we have 1, 2, 3 here. And other than that, its element goes up to A12 and the room E36. And while working with the furniture, let's do some element change here. And I will change just one chair with another chair. Let's see how this one looks. Not the most interesting chair. Let's go for some chair which has more. Chair task. Yes, I believe this chair has 3 materials: plastic, plastic, textile. And let's exchange this chair with some another. And that can be done again with this tool. Just replace element. With replace element, any parameters that match, so mark will be copied to mark, comments to comments, and so on, as long as families have the same parameters. But if families have different parameters, that's where replace element with mapping comes into place. And we can select here to replace this chair. Let's replace it with this nice leather chair, except that we will make it not leather, but textile, as the same as this chair was. Why I'm saying that? Because it's easy to map length parameter to length parameter. It's easy to map just some size or text parameter to another text parameter, but with this tool it's possible even to map material to material. So if I go lower, here on the bottom will be feed material from this chair that is parameter. And we can see that there is no map to, no value, because there is no same parameter in another chair. What we have in another chair is cushion material and frame material. So let's say we want to map it to the cushion. Go OK. And let's do again. It was element 23. This element, I remembered its name. This is this chair, and right now if we check it, cushion material, textile, slate blue. But since it's a type parameter, it changed for all the chairs. So right now all my chairs are textile. Well, they'll be cheaper. And we have a few minutes left, and so I will show just one more thing. We copied information from the host. We manipulated some parameters of selected families. Sorry, we copied information from room. It's possible to also copy information from space. And there is one more feature to copy information from the hosts. Here I have a second level view, just to make it easier. And with another tool of ours, I have inserted openings in every single wall where MAP elements pass. So in this case, those are ducts. And there are quite a lot of openings. We could mark those openings using the same feature. We could create some new parameters. We can extract into which room they belong to according to the insertion point. That also can be assigned. But what we also can do, we can copy information from the elements to which they belong to, those being walls. And a lot of walls in my project, they have no fire rating. If you look at the type, no fire rating. But the walls separating one apartment from another, as well as shafts, those have fire rating. And let's name it 2H, so it would be freshly changed. So some walls have fire rating. So what we can do, we can copy that fire rating into the opening. For that, we'll go again into the BIM tree manager. It will again analyze all the models. I could have also chosen generic model, click on analyze BIM tree manager, and it will directly analyze those generic models, since openings are generic models. But right now, let's select generic models, analyze all of those, and only to make it faster, only on the level 2, I will make the changes. Again, filtering here by level 2, we don't need anything else. And into the comment, let's write that into the comments. And we'll copy value from the host. As you can see, there's also copy value from room, from space. And from the host, we will copy fire rating. Oh, sorry, I forgot to filter my openings. I also have here some mountain patterns, some other families, which are generic elements. And those are apparently located in the outside walls, which have 0.5. But for my rectangular face openings, here I have those copied to our fire resistance. And other openings do not have any value because those walls do not have any fire resistance. Also, if it would be needed, we can not only copy information from the host, we can show alongside the elements information about their hosts. So how that can be done, you can see here we have host keynote, mark type, description, and so on. Host family, host ID, comments, host itself. So we can put it in this table and extract to the Excel if needed. Also, those host parameters can be used for grouping. And if I go into the configure grouping, there is a possibility to click on a host, and you can see all those parameters added here, and filtering can be later done easily through this panel on the left according to the host parameters. And one thing I haven't showed before, so I will just quickly mention that here, we can click on the document. So when I analyzed ducts before, it was visible that they're from the linked project, but at the same time, I could analyze generic models as here, and I can add ducts to the same table. So all those elements will be analyzed. So if I add, well, to make it faster, I'll add pipes. I think I have a little bit less of those. And here you will see that since I've done division by the project, there'll be architectural apartments project and families from here. And then, where's my document? Bring it back, MAP model. So if I click on MAP model, I have all the pipes filtered out, architectural apartment, generic models. And I think that would be it from all what I wanted to show, and the time run out. And other than that, I will just mention that we have for all our tools free trials for 14 days. So you can go on our webpage, download that tools for BIM doc that I've shown in the beginning, and activate this tool, Smart Browser BIM Manager, and its part, the BIM Tree Manager, to try it out on your project. And I would want to thank you for participating today, and have a nice day.
aga-cad, building BIM together.